Hey guys, Noah Films here, back in another video, and today I'm going to be reviewing Mapleverse Creations' Ant-Man and the Wasp stop-motion film. So this is the 6th stop-motion review I am doing on this channel. I keep pumping these reviews out. They're really easy to make, and yeah, if you want your stop-motion review, put it in the comments below. I normally just review whatever stop motions I want, but if you have any suggestions, then put them in the comments below, because I'm open to reviewing many stop motions, because I want some content in between having my regular stop motions, since obviously they take quite a bit of time. So anyway, let's get right into the review. So this film, Mapleverse Creations, first off, go subscribe to him. He makes some great quality content, and he only has 190 subscribers, so go subscribe to him. He is pretty underrated, and he needs a lot more subscribers. So go ahead, go subscribe to him right now. Alright, I'm not going to shut up until you sub to him. So go ahead, do it right now. I'm waiting. Right now. Go. Anyway, let's get right into the review, starting off with the cons, and then going into the pros, and then my review score will be in there too. So this is a 22-minute stop motion, that's a great runtime for stop motion. I love longer animations, and this is definitely one of the longer animations. I think it's the longest one I've reviewed yet, so that's pretty cool. A lot of stop motions are 5 to 8 minutes, or yeah, more like 4 to 7, something like that, which is not a bad runtime, but if you get over that to 10 minutes or something, that's a great runtime for a stop motion film. And when you get into 20 minutes and stuff, that's a fantastic runtime. And yeah, not many people do Ant-Man stop motions and stuff, so yeah, that's interesting. And it's Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I don't. The movie, I actually like the movie, unlike some other people that think it's just bland and forgettable. But I like the movie. But this is a little bit different than the movie, but it still takes some things from the movie, and I'll explain that into the review, but it's not a bad thing at all. Anyway, let's get right into the cons and then the pros. Alright, so the first con is, in the beginning, when we were in 1989 with Hank Pym and Wildworth, I think that's how you pronounce it, but yeah, his real name's Alfred, I guess. So yeah, in the beginning, some of the voice acting lines, they played over each other, so you didn't really know what the lines were that much. So that was a little editing mistake there. If it was intentional, then it was still weird, because I mean, you have one line, one person speaking, and then one person speaking over the other, and you can't really hear much from both of the characters. So that wasn't very good, but it wasn't too big of an issue since it didn't last too long. Next one, when Hank Pym grew in the beginning scene, it looked a little bit weird. I don't know. Some of the effects looked a little weird in this. Most of them were pretty good, but a few of them looked a little awkward. For example, when Scott Lang and the Wasp were flying on their ants, that the action figures didn't really fit with the little effect. That looked pretty weird to me. And there were a few other effects that looked a little weird. And I mean, I'm not saying the effects were bad, it's just some of them looked a little bit weird to me. And yeah, so the green screen was not the greatest. He uses green screen a lot in this film, and I'm not the biggest fan of green screen. I think it looks pretty awkward with figures. It can be done right, but I don't think you should use it so much, because he kind of abuses the green screen in this. There's not enough real sets, because real sets, I think, are just so much better than green screen. So I prefer real sets a lot over green screen. But yeah, so yeah, a few of the green screen. I mean, green screen was not that bad. There has been some other times where I've seen green screen done worse, but still, the green screen looks a little awkward in this, and I'm not the biggest fan of the green screen. So, more real sets in here would be a lot better because, I don't know, I think to use green screen, you gotta use it like when you absolutely have to, like in space or whatever, or something like that. Then green screen, I'm fine with you using it, but like if you can make a real set that can easily be made, then go for that instead of just the green screen. So yeah, that was one of my bigger issues with the film. It's just green screen was abused. So, the story at times was a little bit rushed. Like for example, Wildworth, like the scientist that captured him or whatever, it wasn't really explained what the scientists are much, and really like how Wildworth became like so powerful, because they said they gave him super soldier serum, but then it was like he did a lot more than just what is in the super soldier serum. Like I don't know, like it was weird because he had a lot more powers than just kind of super strength and stuff. So I thought that wasn't really the best with the scientist that captured Wildworth and did all the experimenting to him. It wasn't really explained. And yeah, the quantum realm was just introduced like right away, kind of like I don't know. I think we should have taken some time to flesh out the characters Scott Lang and the Wasp a little bit more. Wasp had some decent development, I guess, but I don't know. Scott Lang didn't really get too much development. I'm guessing it's like the same backstory as the MCU or whatever, so that's not too big of a problem. But still, maybe should have taken a little bit of time to explain Scott Lang or whatever. But that's not too big of a problem because it didn't really completely need to be there. So I don't know, I put that as a con, but it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, one thing in the like final battle or whatever, there was like clones of Wildworth, and that was very confusing, and the effect for the clones was weird because they were all like, it was in a green screen thing, so the regular Wildworth was there in front, and then you had a green screen of like 10 Wildworths, and I don't know, I guess he can multiply himself, but like how is really what I am talking about here. Like, that's pretty weird how he can just multiply himself or whatever, and then the effect where it was showing that he multiplied himself was weird. So, and Wildworth seemed really overpowered. I mean, when he was explaining him, he said he is basically like a god, and I was like, I don't know, how are Ant-Man and the Wasp gonna beat him? So, I think it should have just been like powers of the super soldier serum that could have, the powers of the super soldier serum that could have been just his powers and not all of his other ones and being like a god or whatever. So, yeah, and then the way he gets defeated was my biggest issue with the film. Because, so, he kind of like, Wasp kind of like sneaks up on him or whatever. My memory is a little bit fuzzy because I haven't seen it in a little bit, but I had the review typed out. So, yeah, but Wasp kind of defeats him in just a single stain, which, yeah, I did not like that at all. Like, it just like, Wasp stings Wildworth and then he falls down and then cuts to 2 weeks later. And I don't know, like when you have a character that has that much power, you should really take it, either don't make him that powerful, or make a more creative way to defeat him and make it a lot harder to defeat him, rather than just Wasp does a sting and Wildworth gets defeated. And that was a very, very weak ending to the film that I didn't like, and as I said before, it was my biggest con. But anyway, that's it for the cons. Just a few effects that looked a little bit weird, a few editing mistakes, and then it was a weak ending to the film where Wildworth got defeated. But that's it for the cons. Not too many. I usually talk about cons for quite a while, and about 8 minutes, so that's kind of average time for me talking about cons. But let's move on to the pros. So my first pro is voice acting. Voice acting was very good in this. Scott Lane was played by All That Jazz, and then Wasp was played by Prime Meridian, and then I don't really remember too much of the other cast, but they all did a great job. The voice actors were good, although General Ross on that call seemed like a younger voice, and I think for General Ross you need more of a mature voice. So I wasn't too sure about that. But besides that, voice acting was very good, and the dialogue was great. This was a pretty well-written film besides a few things wrong with the plot that I pointed out in the cons. But the dialogue was well written. I did really like the dialogue, and the comedic scenes with like Scott Lane and stuff gave me a little chuckle, and yeah, they were pretty funny. It was enjoyable because that dialogue was great, and great dialogue was also paired with great voice acting. And I like when you have both great dialogue and great voice acting because they come together to make something very good. So, yeah, and then the sets that were real were good, although being simple. I like the real sets, and I think there should have been more of that in there, but the sets that were there, I like them, and I think there should have just been more. So, the animation. Animation is pretty fluid in here. Mapleverse has some great animation in this film, and yeah, just really smooth and pretty realistic, and I enjoyed it. And then there was a lot of camera movement in here, and I like that, and the camera movement was good. And cinematography is probably one of the biggest things that was great about this animation. The cinematography was amazing. The shots felt very cinematic. Like, I love when people do cinematography well because it just makes the animation a lot better and feels a lot more cinematic. Cinematography is something I want to start working on more too to make my animations feel more cinematic, and right here, Mapleverse does it very well with his cinematography. So I loved it. The shots were great. I love the camera movement because it's very tempting to just make a still shot or whatever. So, yeah, most people do like still shots, but I love it when there's a lot more camera movements and pans and stuff. And I'm trying to incorporate that more into my animations, more camera movement there. So, yeah, great job on the cinematography. That was very, very good. The characters moved while talking quite a bit. I mean, maybe they could have moved a little bit more, but that's a very, very minor nitpick. They moved while talking because quite a few people just paused the frame and then, they it just paused and it's like, oh, picture's talking. But yeah, they moved a lot, gave them some personality there, gave them some emotion with how they moved, so I like that. Anyway, the story was pretty good. I like the overall story, and I don't know if Wildworth is a real character or it's just something he made up. But either way, I think he was an okay character. His motivations were pretty good. The motivations were a bit simple, but hey, it's some good motivations. I mean, you don't really have to have too complex motivations for villains, because, I mean, it's just a stop motion. You don't need anything super, like, groundbreaking, but, I mean, you could use it, but still, villains, motivations were pretty good, and I like them, and I think Wildworth could have been a better character if he wasn't so overpowered, but, motivations were good. So, the kit bashes and the cloth on some of the figures were good. I like some of these customs in here and kit bashes. They looked pretty good and realistic, so good job on that. I like that. And yeah, then the actual the music in this was pretty good. I like the music choices, and overall it was just well done. Good music choices in here, and yeah, overall the pros were, there was a lot of good in this animation. Cinematography was absolutely beautiful. The animation was very fluid. I liked the fight scenes, and some of the effects were well done, although a few, like, it was kind of 50-50 with the effects. Like, some of them looked really weird, and then some of them looked pretty good. So, yeah, and then overall, this is just a pretty well written film for the most part, and I like that. And the runtime of 22 minutes is a very good runtime. I like that. And yeah, overall, this is a pretty good film. So, first, before I give this a score, I'm going to do my review scale. So, this is what I do. So, a 0 to 3 on my review scale is pretty bad. Like, if you get a 0 to 3, I did not get, like, any enjoyment. Maybe a little bit if it's a 3, but yeah, if it's a 0 to 3, then I did not enjoy it. So, then 4 to 5 is pretty mediocre, you know, like, there was some good, but there was also still a lot of bad, and it was just overall pretty mediocre. A 6 is just decent, you know, a pretty decent film. I got some enjoyment out of it, and overall it was okay. 7 is pretty solid, you know, a pretty good animation, enjoyed it quite a bit. And then an 8 is a great animation, enjoyed it a lot. A 9 is a fantastic animation, like almost a masterpiece to me. And that would go like in some of my favorite animations. And then a 10 is absolutely perfect and the greatest animation of all time. So, and on this review scale, Ant-Man and the Wasp goes into 8. A great stop motion film. I liked it a lot. 8 out of 10. Yeah, there was just a few things with the plot I didn't like, with the villain, and yeah, just some of the effects, but I keep repeating myself right now. But yeah, overall, great stop motion. Go subscribe to Mapleverse Creations and watch this video. I think it already has like 450 views in 2 days, and it is well deserved because it is a very good stop motion. Go check it out and go sub to Mapleverse Creations. So thank you guys all for watching this video, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Peace out. Bye.